Thanks for joining us on this edition of National Focus. I'm Colette Ambo. Coming up, Discover Dominica Authority plans for future editions of the World Creole Music Festival, 17 new development goals proposed for beyond 2015, and we will give you information on the locations of your polling stations. Stay tuned for details of these and other stories after this.
If you can believe this,
come by my house and let me show you some movies.
why can't you believe this? Some mothers don't believe their own children when they say they've been sexually abused, and they don't report it. Remember, if anyone asks to see or touch their private parts, touches them inappropriately, shows them or forces them to touch one's private parts, has sex with them, shows them pornographic material, or deliberately lets them hear or see the act of sex, then it is sexual abuse. Believe your child and report the sexual abuse. For more information about child abuse, contact these agencies. This message brought to you by UNICEF and this station.
Thanks for staying with us. Education Officer for the West, Margaret Jules Royer, says in recent times Dominican males are being significantly marginalized. According to Royer, there is a need to place more emphasis on empowering Dominican boys and helping them to achieve.
We all know in our society a lot of emphasis is placed on girls, and we want to really pull up our boys because a lot of times our males are marginalized, and we want to change it. Because these are the same boys who are going to grow to be adult men. And we expect them to get married to our beautiful daughters. But if we don't empower them now, we don't teach them etiquette, manners, the way they speak, the way they relate to each other, the way they resolve conflict, they are going to be out there and be very negative. So why boys? Boys, you are important. We say we want to focus on you because we want to empower you.
The education officer, who was speaking at the Caleb John Laura Primary, is adamant that boys ought to be pushed to accomplish more academically.
We want to see when we have the common entrance exam, the grade 2 and the grade 4 national assessment, the CBM, that our boys are at the top, that the boys are competing with the girls much more than they are doing now.
In her parting words, she urged male teachers to play an active role in both the educational and mental development of their male students.
So teachers, especially the male teachers in the school, I want you to take the lead in your school as it relates to boys. Because a lot of time as women, the boys are surrounded by a lot of females. At home, mommy is always there. Mommy is important, but daddy is important. Because that is important to help the boy to find his manhood. A boy is not a girl. A boy will not sit down there playing with dolls and things like that. They can say what they want. A boy wants to go in the engine, pull things apart, and watch all the little nitty-gritty things. So in your classroom, you also have to pitch your lesson in such a way that you think of the boys and how they learn.
GIS News understands that many of our faithful viewers are not able to catch our nightly newscasts and would like to keep up to date on development news in Dominica. This is why we're pleased to tell you that you can follow us on social media for current news. On YouTube, you can watch episodes of nightly newscasts that you've missed, video documentaries, special reports, and features. Go to www.youtube.com and search GIS Dominica. Subscribe to that channel for alerts every time we post. Like our page on Facebook, search GIS Dominica, and be sure to like, comment, and of course share with your friends. GIS News is also on Twitter. For up-to-the-minute headlines and peeks into the day's top stories, follow GIS Dominica. For text versions of all our news stories, go to our website www.news.gov.dm. Subscribe via email for alerts on new posts. With that information, there's no reason to miss the development highlights in Dominica. The newly elected council for the community of Waitika is promising to deliver on some much-needed facilities and upgrades to the community. The first woman chairperson of the council, Angelina Daniel, has promised that she and her new councillors will see the completion of a number of projects in the community, including recreational facilities and upgrades to roads.
The council consists of many new faces, which clearly indicates a willingness to represent you, the people of Whitaker. I assure you that we will put our all into this task to transform the village into a place we all could be proud of. A place where our boys and girls could raise up knowing that they have access to certain facilities within the village. Facilities that will enable them to develop themselves both academically and physically. Too many times we have seen our youths in search of recreational facilities, access to internet, library, among other important needs. For example, students have to stay in town just to do a research or to print some documents to ensure that their SBAs are brought in on time. Let me inform you that under my leadership as chairperson of the council, with the help of my fellow colleagues, we would ensure that the village is equipped with a resource center to host an internet cafe, a small library, a small recreation area.
She also committed herself and the rest of the council to working for the youth of the community. They will ensure that sufficient sporting and recreational facilities are accessible to the young people.
We will ensure that the young people are given the opportunity to utilize sporting equipment that was made available sometimes back. We will also work to see the completion of the already started reception center situated at the entrance of the Glassy Road, which will also house the new village council office in the meantime. I am committed to lead this council demonstrating moral values of honesty, responsibility, and accountability in all activities that are undertaken therein. As time goes by, other pressing matters in the community will be addressed.
The 8 newly sworn-in councillors are Angelina Daniel, Jones St. Ville, Kenrick Joseph, Daniel Joseph, Simbert St. Ville, Randolph Joseph, Marcella St. Jean, and Alex Ailey. Head of Plant Protection and Quarantine Unit Ryan Anselm has dismissed claims that Dominica will be importing bananas. This is in light of new varieties of disease-resistant bananas and plantains that will soon be introduced in Dominica's agriculture sector. Anselm was speaking at a press conference to introduce an agriculture stakeholders steering committee created to combat black sigatoka on the island on Wednesday.
I can tell you the Plant Protection and Quarantine Unit is the lead institution, and we have the authority to issue license, import permit, and even phytocertificate to restrict trade. Banana and the Musa species are prohibited to enter into Dominica. As we speak, there is no application for importation of banana or plantain on the island. So the rumor, or to answer your question, banana and plantain are strictly prohibited to enter into Dominica.
Anselm assured that the Ministry of Agriculture is working with the Caribbean Agricultural Research and Development Institute, CARDI, to ensure that precautionary measures are put in place for the safe introduction of the new varieties. They will first be evaluated in St. Vincent.
What CARDI is doing in St. Vincent is that they are testing for Moko disease, but there are also viruses and viruses that we are concerned with, and this can retard and reduce plantain and banana production if that plantlet. So that is why we are evaluating the resistant varieties for diseases, for its performance, and also its performance in a different agroecological zone. So a particular variety might not be doing well in Syndicate, but it will do well in Calibishi, for example. So that work is very important.
Anselm says disease-resistant banana varieties is one of the most effective strategies in the management of the black sigatoka disease. Meantime, Anselm says Dominica's produce, especially in the plantain and banana subsectors, is the preferred fruit on the market. However, due to the impact of black sigatoka on the industry, he says the Windward Islands have not been able to supply the quantities demanded in markets, such as Antigua.
The population in Antigua has said that they preferred the Windward Islands banana. It is sweeter, it is a preferred fruit that the population in this OECS country would have. So our aim is to sustain the banana and plantain subsector and to increase our production in the first year, as I said, by 7 to 10 tons per acre across the board, plantains and banana, and in the second year to do 10 to 15, because we have to be competitive. The industry has to be able to sustain itself. Presently, the government is investing a lot of money together with the European Union in terms of trying to sustain and manage black sigatoka.
Anselm revealed that in January 2015, major stakeholders will meet to advance a draft strategic plan of action for the banana and plantain subsectors. The Dominica Festivals Committee is looking at ways to raise the standard of the World Creole Music Festival. To do so, they held a series of strategic planning meetings to assess the recently concluded 18th edition of the festival from November 25th to November 27th. The facilitator, Dr. Keith Nurse, who is the executive director of UE Consulting Inc., has conducted previous strategic management research on the festival. He was in Dominica to present on the structure, organization, and performance of the World Creole Music Festival as compared to other festivals within the region. Dr. Nurse says the festival should be a stepping stone to enhance the creative industries in Dominica and the region.
What you want is to ensure that your festival is a platform for growth of the creative sector. And you design your festival to ensure that. So your festival can have at least two key imperatives. One is a pure economic, financial, commercial one, which is we want to ensure that we get as many people through the turnstile, that we want to get as much corporate sponsors as possible, that we want to drive as much tourism traffic and earn foreign exchange, etc., etc. Another key imperative is what we call the developmental imperative, which is that you ensure that you have, for example, workshops for artists, that you facilitate collaboration between visiting artists and local artists, that you create opportunities for some of the local artists to get on the bandwagon with the foreign artists, that they record together, that they, and the list goes on, right? So you can design your festival to achieve both objectives. In fact, it is a superior approach to ensure that you're doing both the commercial and the developmental at the same time. So when you're designing your budget for the festival, you want to ensure that you have both a commercial imperative and a developmental imperative at the same time.
One of the areas of discussion at the meeting was the critical success factors of any festival.
If you don't feed your creative industries, if you don't create a framework in which they can be upgraded over time, then you are not going to ensure the survivability and sustainability of the festival. The festival will become increasingly something else. And so you want to generate successes. You want to ensure that the bands from Dominica can go global, utilizing the Creole Music Festival as a platform.
He advised that Dominica generates data about the festival to properly manage it.
One thing which most festivals haven't been doing is what we call economic intelligence or marketing intelligence. Like, who and where is our target market? Of course, we know for the case of Dominica, generally for its tourism product, and for the World Creole Music Festival, it's the French territories which are next door neighbors. That's a huge plus for Dominica. In fact, it's a bonus that Dominica has that many other territories don't. So you really need to ensure that you maximize on that. But what's the demographics of that group? What do they eat? Where do they live? What do they consume other than the Creole Music Festival? You need to know that stuff. You need to know how that key demographic is growing or moving, as the case may be.
In about 12 days, the Dominicans will go to the polls to elect men and women to serve the nation for the next 5 years. Every citizen of the Commonwealth of Dominica 18 years and over should exercise their right to vote. For the next few days, the GIS will bring you information on where to vote in all 21 constituencies. We begin with these 3 constituencies. Casa Bruce. This constituency comprises Casa Bruce, Good Hope, Petite Soufriere, and Saint-Sauveur. In Petite Soufriere, persons will cast their ballots at the Petite Soufriere Primary School, and at Saint-Sauveur, all persons will vote at the Saint-Sauveur Primary School. Those registered in Good Hope will vote at the Good Hope Resource Center and Tranto Depa Fair Trade Building. Persons registered in Casa Bruce South will cast their ballots at the Casa Bruce Primary School, and those registered in Casa Bruce North will vote at the House of Alexander Challenger. We now move on to the Colliho constituency. This constituency comprises Bioche, Colliho, and Dubla. Persons registered to vote in Dubla will do so at the Dubla Primary School. Those registered at Colliho, the Colliho Primary School, and Bioche, the Bioche Fisheries Complex. And finally, for this evening, the Cottage constituency. The Cottage constituency comprises Lago, Savanpai, Gillette, Tatan, Tukari, Mona Louis, Cottage, Clifton, and Capuchin. In Lago, persons with last names from A to F and G to N will vote at the Portsmouth Secondary School in polling stations 1 and 2 respectively. Persons with last names from O to Z will vote at the Lago Youth Center. Savanpai, Gillette, Tatan will vote at the Savanpai Primary School, and residents of Tukari and Mona Louis will cast their votes at the Tukari Chapel. In Cottage, the Cottage Community Center will be used. In Clifton, the Primary School, and Capuchin, the Resource Center. Look out for where to vote in Grand Bay, La Plaine, and Maho constituencies in Friday's newscasts. And finally, this news time, the United Nations Millennium Development Goals, or MDGs, have served as a shared framework for global action and cooperation on development since 2000. As the MDGs target date 2015 approaches, the Open Working Group for Sustainable Development Goals has proposed a new Sustainable Development Agenda moving forward. This proposed plan comprises 17 new goals. These aims are as follows. 1. End poverty in all its forms everywhere. 2. End hunger, achieve food security and improved nutrition and promote sustainable agriculture. 3. Ensure healthy lives and promote well-being for all at all ages. 4. Ensure inclusive and equitable quality education and promote lifelong learning opportunities for all. 5. Achieve gender equality and empower all women and girls. 6. Ensure availability and sustainable management of water and sanitation for all. 7. Ensure access to affordable, reliable, sustainable, and modern energy. 8. Promote sustained, inclusive, and sustainable economic growth, full and productive employment, and decent work. 9. Build resilient infrastructure, promote inclusive and sustainable industrialization, and foster innovation. 10. Reduce inequality within and among countries. 11. make cities and human settlements inclusive, safe, resilient, and sustainable. 12. Ensure sustainable consumption and production patterns. 13. Take urgent action to combat climate change and its impacts. 14. Conserve and sustainably use the oceans, seas, and marine resources for sustainable development. 15. Protect, restore, and promote sustainable use of terrestrial ecosystems, sustainably manage forests, combat desertification, and halt and reverse land degradation, and halt biodiversity loss. 16. Promote peaceful and inclusive societies for sustainable development, provide access to justice for all, and build effective, accountable, and inclusive institutions at all levels. And 17. Strengthen the means of implementation and revitalize the global partnership for sustainable development. These goals will again test the creative thinking of world leaders in ridding their nations of impediments to their development. Intergovernmental negotiations will start in January 2015, and in September 2015, the United Nations General Assembly will adopt its new development agenda. In 2013, Dominica's ambassador and permanent representative to the United Nations, Vince Henderson, told the 68th session of the United Nations General Assembly General Debates in New York that Dominica has made significant progress towards the achievement of the MDGs. He reported, open quote, "We have reduced poverty and hunger by more than half. Our children, boys and girls, now have universal access to both the primary and secondary education, as well as expanded access to post-secondary education and training." End quote. Through its numerous government-sponsored water supply projects, Dominica has also made progress in increasing access to potable water in light of the MDG's directive to have the proportion of the population without sustainable access to safe drinking water and basic sanitation, both in rural and urban areas. The country has been described as forward-thinking in its quest to development, with its social safety net programs, housing revolution, sanitation programs, and geothermal exploration. And that's the English news. McPherson St. Luce is next with the Creole highlights.
Allô tout le monde, bienvenue à cette nouvelle en créole. Non moins, c'est McPherson St. Luce. Premièrement, compagnie Dexia Fairtrade en parmi d'autres, qu'a formé par steering committee pour programme que le ministre Agriculture a conduit pour avancer production industrie figue et banane en Dominique. Il a aussi tapé support BAM, M. Ryan Ansem, c'est officier quarantine ministre Agriculture.
Dexia a un programme là, il a travaillé avec plus de 150 planteurs pour faire plantains en pays. Nous pour bailler assistant comment il a fait production avec comment il a fait ça. So fair trade quand il dit en anglais il y a plus que 800 millions de dollars US pour mettre en industrie figue là. So encore avec BAM content plus bonne BAM jaba commitment yo plus que 2 millions de dollars ici pour mettre en figue avec banane. So encore tout ces l'argent ça ouais qui a fait là c'est un steering committee ministre agriculture mettre en place pour nous garder comment nous contrôler tous ces investissements ça là ces activités à nous pour faire pour nous garder parce que figue avec banane très important pour Dominique nous pour faire ça nous pour faire pour nous garder comment nous soutenir l'industrie.
En d'autres nouvelles, communauté Boutika qui tout suite né un resource center state of the art. Parole cela sorti au parlement honorable Peter Saint-Jean. Honorable Saint-Jean fait parole cela pendant qu'il était délivré l'adresse en inauguration village Consulat semaine cela. Facilité cela qui tape quoi en vieille occasion l'école Boutika. Honorable Saint-Jean dit ministre de l'Éducation déjà d'accord ou là yo ba permission pour village Consulat servi l'occasion là bâti facilité là. Honorable Saint-Jean dit facilité là qui servent pour diverses bagailles, en premier pour adresser bagailles jeunesse, famille, en premier d'autres. Monsieur Saint-Jean fait parole qui est bien parlé pour travailler et puis village compte là, taper projet là, une réalité, mais il besoin si pour communauté là. Honorable Saint-Jean aussi ni plan pour Plainfield en Britica. En d'autres nouvelles, le département Gender Dominica créé à ce public là pour mettre attention à ce période 16-day activism, bagay, violence, gender. Parole celle-là sortie au directeur bureau Rosie Brown. Sinon, Madame Brown, record abyssement en Dominica bien étonné.
Mais nous avons tout le monde, il est important comme moi-même dit parmi nous, il est important pour nous pas quitter cette journée-là, temps là passé, parce que nous avons un problème avec gender violence en Dominique. Hein? Comme on dit, pareil, nous avons report qui a entré, report qui a venu à la data registry là, nous avons il can plus moun chaque temps nous can plus moun, right? So si il can moutre plus moun ka abuse, il y a un problème. So nous pour deal avec ça. Nous quand c'est tap tant moun ka traiter moun en différentes manières qui pas bon. Hein? So nous ça dit tout ça c'est abuse, tout ça so nous pour parler au contre. Ouais? Mais avec ça nous nous travaillons avec d'autres monde, d'autres organisations pour faire ça.
Et puis finalement, étudiant l'école Caleb Laurent Saint-Joe point pas à un match en la rue Village Salam pendant un anti-drug match. Match ça pour mettre attention à ces drogues et puis manière et ça affecte les jeunes. Si l'on met l'école la Francis John Luce, raison pour match là, c'était pour sensibiliser les jeunes dans ces drogues pendant temps ils jeunes. John Lewis qui a ces étudiants là pour porter attention pas servir drogue et puis engager corps en bagaille positive plutôt. Officier drogue West Malcolm St. Rose fait parole qui activité semaine là aussi mettre attention à ces traitements et puis manière pour monde pas engager en drogue. Mon parlement honorable Kelva Daru aussi adressé match là et puis crier à ces jeunes pour prendre l'avantage opportunité avec la bayo. Merci mesdames, ça c'est tout pour Nouvelle Creole pour à présent. Non moins, c'est McPherson St. Luce. Au revoir.
Coming up, tips to preserve that Christmas ham.
Dominica is blessed with an abundance of water, but getting it to your home is an expensive venture. You have a responsibility to conserve water, to use it wisely. Remember the old adage, you never miss the water till the well runs dry. Think water, think life.
It's less than a month to Christmas and the ham shopping and cooking will soon begin. Here's how you can ensure that delicious ham stays fresh for as long as possible. Store your ham in an old pillowcase that has been rinsed in water and wrung out tightly. If you alternate this pillowcase with another one every couple of days, your ham will keep well in the fridge. Never, however, refreeze a thawed ham that has not been cooked. If you are refreezing a cooked thawed ham, you may wrap your ham in cling wrap and store in the freezer. And that's all for this edition of National Focus. We always welcome your suggestions and comments. Drop us an email at gis@dominica.gov.dm or visit our website news.gov.dm. Like our Facebook page, facebook.com/GIS News Dominica, and follow our Twitter at GIS Dominica. You can also catch up on past National Focus newscasts on our GIS Dominica YouTube channel. From all of us here on the GIS News production team, I'm Colette Ambo. Thanks for watching.